special guest at the Tavern today. He is a founding member of Flesh Hoarder and the guitarist for H Anselmo and The Illegals, where you can see live on Friday, April 9th with the Mighty King Parrot opening for them. We have metal Mike DeLeon. Mike, man, what's up?
What's going on, you guys? Thank y'all so much for having me on the Turnbuckle Tavern, man. Just a gigantic wrestling fan, and it feels like I'm in the squared circle with you guys. So I'm stoked to be here, man. Thank y'all for having me.
Two of our most favorite things are wrestling and metal, and I feel like we got the perfect person in here for this one.
Absolutely,
totally. It's the best of both worlds for me, man. So it's totally an honor to be here, to hang out with the cats.
Yeah,
today.
Let's see the shirt you got on there. What shirt you rocking?
Oh man, I'm rocking a vintage Triple H t-shirt right here. I've had this one for probably since the late 90s, maybe early 2000s on this t-shirt. And I was just kind of going through my pile here, and I was like trying to find the right one for the podcast here, and I was like, I'm gonna bust out the OG Triple H shirt tonight, man.
Yeah, man,
dude, that's an awesome shirt, man.
Love that era Triple H.
Oh, me too. I have a cool story about Triple H. I'll talk about real fast. We were in Peru in 2019 with the Illegals, and it's a cool story. We landed in Chile. We were in Lima. My bad, Lima, Peru. We landed at the airport, and it was usual in South America to have fans waiting for us with signs, waiting to meet Phil and everybody. And we land, and there's tons of fans, and then we're thinking, oh, they're here to see us. It just so happens on the flight coming in right after us was the WWE, and it was all these fans waiting for all the wrestlers to show up. So we're just like, and then they were for the W. We were like, we thought they were there for us. We're like that, and they're like, no, who are you guys? And then like the wrestlers started landing, and then I went from being there to like in the line with all the fans, try to meet all the wrestlers that went by. But the cool story about Triple H is that night we had the night off, and the WWE was in town that night, and they had a live gig that night. So so a couple of us in the band, me and Derek, hit up a couple of friends that know a couple of friends in the WWE, and within like 2 hours, we had fifth row in Peru of all places to see the WWE. And our friend Big Dave, shout out to Big Dave from California, he hit up Triple H, and Triple H got us like fifth row tickets for WWE in Peru with like a couple of backstage passes, and we got to go say hi to Rowan, the big tall wrestler that's into the metal, and he was super stoked. Yeah, he was excited to meet us, and we were just as excited to meet him. And it was just a really special night because we were so far from home in a whole nother country, and I had seen WWE all over, the US, but to be in, South America with those kind of fans there at the WWE, it was great. It was a good time, and Triple H hooked it up. So, we didn't get to meet him or anything, but he was still cool enough and kind enough to get us some passes, and we got to go enjoy the night. So it was real cool, man.
That's super cool. So is Derek a fan too? Is he a wrestling fan?
Derek is a gigantic wrestling fan. I'm glad you asked that. No, me and Derek, Blue too, but me and Derek for sure are just like, we're all about the wrestling, and we have our favorite wrestlers, and we can talk some shop when it comes to that stuff. So it was real cool. And when we were backstage, we were talking to Rowan, and it was real cool because like about 15 feet away was Randy Orton, and I'm a gigantic Randy Orton fan. But at that moment in time, I just didn't want to interrupt, mid conversation and just walk away. I just didn't want to,
right.
So and by the time I got done, we were done talking to Rowan, Randy was off doing his thing. But I was like, man, Orton was like right there, and Kofi Kingston and they all the guys were just kind of hanging out, and it was just really cool to be there and whatnot. So pretty rad story, man.
That's pretty awesome, especially to be with the fan. Like the fandom down there for wrestling and metal is so much more rabid, I feel like, than it is here.
Totally. And people ask, we're the best fans in the world. And I will say the world. Everywhere there's awesome fans, no matter where you go. Awesome fans in America to all the way to Australia. There's dedication no matter where you go. Some more than others, but there's gonna be dedication to the metal, to the wrestling, no matter where you go. But in particularly South America, those fans, they love it. It's super passionate about what they get, and they show up and they're not overly like touching you. They respect, but they also know every song on your album or know every wrestling, they're super passionate, and it's great. So to be down there, it was cool because I'm not gonna say I hate, but I've never been a Rey Mysterio fan. And that night he was taking on Randy Orton. So we were sitting in the 5th row, and we were right behind Rey Mysterio, and it was just like this little guy, and then right in front of him was Randy Orton, just like looking right down on him. And all the kids and the families right around us were just cheering Ray. And then it would get quiet, and you would just hear boo, like so loud, like enough to where Derek and Blue were just like, I don't know this guy, because I was just letting everyone know I was there for Randy. I was not there for Ray. But it was just cool to be there with the fans. They were there for Ray. I wasn't. It was just a really cool moment, just a back and forth with the fans in the crowd. You know what I mean? Just cheering for our favorite wrestler. So it was super cool, man. Super fun.
Sounds like so much fun, man. And the first time I met Derek, he was telling me, I guess he has an Ultimate Warrior figure that he puts on his equipment every night.
His amplifier.
Yeah.
Every night he has this little Ultimate Warrior that I believe his daughter gave him, or his daughter gave him, and he gets a photo with it too. Like Christian usually goes right behind, and he gets a photo of the crowd, the Ultimate Warrior, and Derek, and like like he just gets the trifecta, and you always see Ultimate Warrior standing there on the amplifier, just doing his thing. So it's super cool. It's super cool, yeah. But
man, we always wanted to see, because Rowan would always wear metal t-shirts to the ring, and I've tuned in just to see if he was going to wear an illegal shirt.
Yeah.
Oh man, we were hoping he was. I know Derek hooked him up with a Scour shirt at one point.
Yeah.
So even that would have been super cool to see him sporting some underground Phil band would have been great. But an Illegals would have been great. Just to have been like an Illegal shirt with Rowan would just been super cool. But maybe down the road it'll happen. Maybe down the road we'll link up and see him again and make it happen, man. But it would be cool. He always wears the cool metal shirts, man.
Yeah, man. Now,
yeah,
we know that Phil's a big boxing guy. Does he give you and Derek any shit for being pro wrestling fans?
That's a good question. When I first came into the band, and a few years back, like 5 or 6 years back now, we talked wrestling. I was like, just wanting to see what Phil's outtake on was on it, and he really didn't like make fun of us or anything. He, more than anything, he was like giving us props because we were into into the wrestling. And he was telling me how back in the early 90s, him and maybe Dime, or him and Big Val would go see some of the wrestling events. Nobody wouldn't even know who who it was, but they were up in the seats, and they were going to see some of the old WWF, some of the but back in the day. And he was telling me, he was like, I used to go see that stuff, and he's good friends with a lot of the guys, because a lot of the guys do signings, so he runs into a lot of the guys and stuff. But he definitely respects the wrestling, and he's not the biggest fan or anything, but he definitely will tip his hat to the wrestling community and stuff. So it's cool. It's definitely, he's definitely on our side with it, so it's cool.
That's
Yeah,
awesome.
I saw he was at one of those signings and he had Mick Foley do a video for you.
Dude, that was the super coolest. And that's just Phil right there. He knows how big of a wrestling fan I was. And I didn't know. He surprised me, and Kate sent me that video. And he, out of the kindness of his heart, told Mick Foley to say my name in a video. And I was just like, Mike DeLeon and the Illegals. And I was just like, what?
Yeah.
If you watch that video, you see the kick, the laugh that Philip gets out of it.
Oh
And
yeah.
he's loving it. He's loving it.
Yeah.
And it's super cool. But yeah, see, just like that, like he just, he runs into the guys, and he was able to do that. And he even told me Mick was on his way out, if I'm not mistaken. Like he was ending the day already, and he still had Mick pull that off. So I was just really stoked about that. Super cool. One of a kind video there, man. It's pretty wild.
So you've been a fan forever. And so like what got you into pro wrestling? When did you get into pro wrestling?
Awesome, man. All right. It's a good question. I would say probably about 5 or 6 years old is when wrestling entered my life. Maybe four, 5, 6. And my grandpa, my popo, he and my dad would be, my dad would drop me off on a Saturday night. Him and my mom would go out on a Saturday night, and me and my grandpa, my little brother, would sit and watch Saturday Night Mania. And it would be on a Saturday night, and we would be watching, my grandpa was into the wrestling, and it entertained me. I was like into it, and it's just something that I just never gave up on. It's just like it just got more and more, better, as the years went by, from the late 80s, into the 90s, and how huge it got. But that's how it, my grandpa sitting there with me, sitting on his lap and watching some wrestling. And my dad too. My dad was just, back in the day, taking me to Austin, and we'd go to the big Irwin Center, and we'd be watching, all the, Royal Rumble, or the Monday night, or the, all the cool events, man. And just Monday nights, I'm sure for you guys too, Monday nights, how,
Oh yeah.
growing up all the years, it was just like you were waiting for Monday Night Raw. You know what I mean? You wanted to see almost like the continuation from the week before. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They would always they would always end Raw with like a big cliffhanger almost. You know what I mean?
Right.
Oh yeah.
And it would just be like last week on Raw, and it would continue. You know what I mean? So it was always there, and I always looked forward to it. And I'm sure with you guys, it was just me and my pops and my brother, and it was like a brotherhood of me and my dad, and we would just sit there and cheer on our favorite wrestlers, and it was just a good time. And my dad still was a big wrestling fan. He still texts me on Monday nights if I'm working, or if I'm doing, he's watching some wrestling. You know what I mean? So he's still into it, and it's great. I wish it was coming around live again, but hopefully it will here soon. But
Yeah, man.
yeah, it's just been a family thing, and it's been awesome. I've been a wrestling fan since I was a little kid because of them.
Who were some of your guys growing up when you were little?
Oh man. Well, I would always say since the beginning, because I remember this night. Man, this is so much fun. I love talking wrestling with you guys. This is great. These cool stories, man, especially little personal stories for me.
Yeah, man.
I remember, I guess the year was, you guys might know the right year, 90 or 91, but I remember being at my grandma and grandpa's, and them getting the Survivor Series pay-per-view, and The Undertaker debuted. And I remember watching that live as a kid for the first time. So The Undertaker was definitely one of those that just sat in with, many of us work then. He was just always one that I was always into. Other ones, the Bushwhackers, was always into the Bushwhackers. Luke and Luke and
Yep.
Butch. You know what I mean? Always
Yeah.
dug them. And let's see, I've
Grab and lick the kids' faces.
Oh yeah, putting it in the armpits, and they're always doing dirty stuff. I can go on. The Nasty Boys, I always like them. Nasty
Love 'em.
Boys. the demolition crew. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Those dudes in the makeup they were wearing, you know what I mean? It was almost like ahead of their time and what they were doing, you know what I mean? And I can go on and on. Brutus the Barber Beefcake. Just always remember being a fan of him and his TV show and all the cool stuff he used to have in the barbershop.
The barbershop.
Barbershop. Yeah, I was gonna say barber's corner, but the barbershop. That's right. So I mean, I remember all this and just all these guys were, and then most specifically, and this is my all-time favorite wrestler, and that'd be Shawn Michaels. The HB, Heartbreak Kid. Just he always being a fan of him and his work. So he was definitely one of the big guys.
Talking about the barbershop, that's where he kicked Marty Jannetty and threw him through the barbershop window.
Love it. I remember all that. Classic WWF right there. If you were there to remember all that, you'll always remember that scene, right? Always remember that. Even growing up in the 90s and seeing like Kurt Angle bringing the milk truck and spraying everybody down. You know what I mean? That was just the best stuff right there. Just all the good times. And the Booker T, man, how funny was Booker T?
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? And the 5-time, I love it. All that good stuff.
Man,
Booker.
I feel like we talk to so many people about wrestling, but we've never talked to somebody that grew up exactly in the same time period that we did. And that's almost spot on with what we grew up with. And it's so nice to hear that somebody I know they were doing it right because we all appreciated the same things.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. They had a chemistry no matter who it was, bad guy, good guy. It was somebody that Val Venus. God, I remember Val Venus.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Hello, ladies. It's just, they all had their own niche. You know what I mean? They all had something that you could go on and on. All the little, even smaller wrestlers like Doink the Clown or, what was the Sandman? You know what I mean? Like some of the more those guys, they were leaving huge impressions on us dudes. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, definitely. So growing up in being in Texas, man, you had Undertaker from Texas, you had Shawn Michaels from Texas, you had Booker T from Texas. Growing up there and even going to events now, what are the how's the crowds like in Texas? I feel like they're just almost as rabid as what those South American fans are.
That's a good question. Of most of the shows that I've seen shows in Houston, Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, Lubbock, maybe even El Paso. I've seen some WWE, but out of all the cities, I will say the most raging crowd, and this is going to be for metal or for wrestling, will always hands down be San Antonio, Texas. I'll say it, those Mexicans, they love the wrestling, and they show up with their aunts, uncles, kids, everybody's there, and everybody's there to see some wrestling. And it's just always an intense time. Everybody's cheering for their guy, and San Antonio always gets into it for the WWE pretty hard, man.
Is the lucha scene pretty prevalent there too, as far as growing up? Were you kind of turned on to that in any way?
It definitely was there. I didn't get to go, as much as I wish I could have, but the lucha, it's still here today. I have a friend of mine I like to talk about real quick, Ruben Steele. He's like an independent wrestler, and he's been going hard with the wrestling for so many years, especially like in San Antonio, Austin, the independent more wrestling definitely has been real relevant and strong here in Texas. That it just seems to be like it never goes away. There's always some sort of wrestling, independent. The luchador scene, that will be more like, I would say, Mexico, a little bit more south. But I definitely know it's definitely strong down there. the lucha, they love it down there. You know, not the big WWE, the more local luchador style wrestling. They definitely love it. But here in Texas, we have our own independent little circuits, and they seem to be doing really good because they, like I said, they don't ever go away. There always seem to be year after year, you know, wrestling events going on. So, and even with the little independent ones, I wouldn't say little, but the smaller ones, they like to try and get like a legend from the WWE to show up at their events. Like what's his name? Teddy Long was in town recently, and I was like, he's a Hall of Famer, man. I love Teddy Long. You know?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so he was there recently, and I think they got Matt Hardy there recently. You know, just like some of the other guys, older guys, but whatnot. But they'll usually try to get somebody to come in and hang out and do some wrestling with them too. So it's cool. It's cool, man.
Have you ever had any experience where you've ran into any of those guys because they're from the same area that you are?
That's a good question. Probably about 5 years ago, I was headed to my jam room, and it's like on the back roads of Texas, about maybe about 8 or 9 miles from me. And I take a back road to get there, and I was headed there about 5 years ago, and right coming opposite from me on a motorcycle was the Undertaker cruising the hill country back roads, and I was with one of my buddies, and I was like, that's the Undertaker, and he was just cruising on his motorcycle, and I mean, we just at a 4-way stop, just cross paths, and I was like, there goes the Undertaker. I said that was him. It was him on a motorcycle. I mean, it happened 5 seconds, but I was like, I knew who it was. As soon as I saw him, I knew who that was. And I was
it's unmistakable to see that. I mean, you can't not know who that guy is.
It was crazy. big dude on a motorcycle. And I was like, it's the Undertaker. I know who that is right there. And it was just cruising the hill country roads, man. He probably was about an hour from home. So it's typical. Just he could have been headed home. You know, he wasn't far at all. And he was just cruising. Other than that, let's see. I don't really think I've ran into too many other running around, but I definitely have friends of mine that have bumped into like Mark Henry in Austin. You know, he's an Austin guy. You'll see him like at the gym and stuff. Friends of mine have been like, man, you know, there's Mark Henry working out. Friends of mine, you know, at the like Walmart or Target running into Booker T because he's a Houston guy. You know what I mean? Just you know, just running into the guys because they're doing their thing too, you know, and whatnot. But I would love to meet, you know, some of those cats right there. I'd trip out. I'd go fanboy. I'd be like, you know, running into Booker T. I'd be like, put a hold on me, throw me in a move, do something. But just the one guy I ran into was But the Taker was the one guy that I you know was like, man, I just crossed paths with the Taker, Undertaker. So that was pretty awesome, man.
That's
pretty rad.
Have you got to go to any big events, Mike? Like, have you ever been to a Mania or anything?
I've been to 2 WrestleManias.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, 2 of them. I was at WrestleMania 25 and WrestleMania 30, I believe, was the second one. Yeah.
So you got to see the Undertaker streak end.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, what?
The ones that I was at was the one in Dallas, Texas, at the big stadium. I think that was WrestleMania 30, and then for sure 25 at the one in Houston, Texas, and that was the one where he fought Shawn Michaels in the white ring, and or Shawn Michaels was all in white. I want to say it was a big match, and so I was there for 2 of the WrestleManias, and it was just an insane, you know, 90,000 people in one building is just insane. And then, you know, there for wrestling was just amazing. And then I saw the Royal Rumble as well. I've been to 1 Royal Rumble and then 2 WrestleManias, and then tables, ladders, and chairs. I've been to 1 of those before. And then I even saw some old WCW Nitros back in the day. You know what I mean? Back in the old day when WCW was going, and one of the Hollywood Hogan shows. I remember seeing that in the 90s, and Hollywood Hogan setting up the whole show and interviewing people and all that. So, you know, have definitely been to quite a few of the events for sure.
And that was I was going to ask that question too. Like, we grew up with the Monday Night Wars, and were you a WCW fan also, or was it mostly WWF or E?
Man, that's a good question. I was probably about 75 WWE,
Yeah.
25% WCW, because I definitely had I watched it too. I was like, wanting to see what's going on, but I was always a WWE guy, just through and through. Just that's where I was always, grew up there. So that's where I was always at. But I definitely was wanting to see what's going on with with Nitro, because a lot of the guys that I was into were over there also. So
Yeah.
you wanted to see what Razor Ramon was doing over there, or just a whole bunch of dudes, and plus I was always an Eric Bischoff fan. I like Eric Bischoff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I like to watch it because of him, even, you know what I mean? So I'd watch it too sometimes.
Eric's going in the Hall of Fame this year.
Yeah.
They just announced he's going in the Hall of Fame.
I did not know that.
Yep.
Congrats to Eric. Congrats, man. That's good for you, Eric Bischoff. You deserve it, man. You deserve it for sure, bro.
Yeah. Have you checked
Go
out
ahead.
any AEW?
I think Chad had asked me that also, and a couple of other friends of mine have asked me, and I haven't been able to watch too much of it, but I do see what's going on. I am seeing how Chris Jericho was definitely taking that business and doing really good with it. I saw that the Big Show just signed on recently, which is huge, is huge, because how big of that fan base has he got just for him? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I would like to try and catch up a little bit more, but it looks like it's probably pretty awesome. You know what I mean? So,
they also just brought in Christian.
Yeah.
oh wow, I did not know that.
Yep.
That's rad. I was always a Christian fan. I used to love it when he would throw the tantrums on the ground and like kick and like make a big Christian fit. I used to love that stuff back in the day.
Yeah, he was gone for a long time. He was not, I guess, not medically cleared to wrestle, and then he got medically cleared. He wrestled in the Royal Rumble in January, and then showed up on AEW a couple weeks ago.
Okay, wow, that's cool, and I'm sure talking wrestling, I'm sure that's Chris Jericho behind the scenes pulling those strings. You know what I mean? Saying, "Hey, Christian, I've known you for 20, 30 years. You're one of my old friends. Come work for us. Come work for this company." And it seems to be doing good. So that's good.
I think
that's
Jericho
good for them.
I think he was very vocal in wanting Christian to be there.
Oh yeah.
Okay. I'm sure. I'm sure. And I've met Chris Jericho a few times, and he's an awesome dude, as in super intense about and passionate about what he's into, but he's also just like real chill and real cool, and total metalhead, and you'll see him at a show backstage, and he's there for the music. He's not there for to promote anything. He's there to enjoy, have some beers, and watch some metal, man. So he's a cool cat. He's a cool cat, man.
I'll tell you what needs to happen, and this kind of just popped into my mind, but I think the Illegals need to get on Jericho's cruise that he does.
That would be awesome. I would love to do one of those cruises, especially a wrestling related cruise. That would be something we could probably end up doing. You know what I mean? That would be, hopefully in the future, that could be something that maybe 2022 we can maybe do that. You know what I mean? That would be cool, man.
I think you guys would fit perfectly on that bill.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, especially if we were doing, the Pantera tunes, those fans would probably be going nuts for it. You know what I mean? And the wrestlers too. You know what I mean? For sure. That'd be cool.
Yeah, man. Let's get into some heavy metal.
Well, I kind of have the perfect segue into some metal talk, but so who's the one guy that you always put on the guest list?
Okay. Now this is a funny story. It's gonna be John Cena, but it's like a catch-22 inside joke because of John Cena. Now John Cena, me personally, I have a love or hate relationship. There's times I've hated the guy because he's always winning.
Same.
You know what I mean?
Same.
And then there's times I'm like, I can't get enough of the guy. I'm like, man, he's on a roll. I love it. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so there's an inside joke with John Cena, and me and Christian, we would go like we would be on tour in the States, and we would be going from city to city, and we would, you know, every night we would actually have guest lists. Whoever our guest would be for the night, we'd make a stack, and then he would always be like, let's come up with somebody funny to put, you know what I mean? And we would always put whoever we came up with on the very top. So whenever he would go turn in the guest list, the person on top, it would have their name. Well, usually it would be John Cena, and he would take it up to the front counter, and the lady or the guy would usually look at it, and they'd be like, they'd look up and they'd be like, they'd tell their friends, John Cena's coming to the show tonight. And then purposely knowing we didn't invite John Cena, or we don't know John Cena, we don't know John. So it would just be to rile up the person that we were messing with. But they would always think, you know, we'd put a stub or a pass or something, but we would always tell them John Cena's coming to the show, or he would never show up. But if I had I would love to put John Cena on the guest list one day. I just think it would be super rad. I think he's a metalhead, and I think, you know, with the Pantera tunes, I bet he'd have a blast coming out to an illegal show and you know, and having fun. So I'll go with the man. I'd love to meet the man. So it'd be cool to have him out once and for all. It'd be cool.
So we have another show that we do. It's a debate show. We do it on Monday. So we take a couple of topics and debate it. And I want to get your take on this, since you just brought it up and kind of had the same take. But do you think, this was one of the questions we had last week or week before, I believe, but do you think that John Cena wasn't really appreciated enough until he was actually gone?
Ooh, that's a good question. Wow. Let me think about this. Oh man, I will say no. Say no. I think he was appreciated while he was there. Maybe a little more so now that he's gone. And that's funny, because me and a friend of mine at work were just talking about how we miss John Cena. He was like, man, I wish he would come back and wrestle again. And I was like, yeah, I kind of wish he would too. But I think while he was there, he got the credit he deserved. You know, he was always given winning the gold, winning this, and you know, he was loved by so many fans. So I think on my output on that will be, yes, he was appreciated while he was there. He's definitely missed a little bit more so now, but yes, he got the credit he was due. You know, I mean, it would be cool to see him come back, but you know, I think so. Yeah, I
think that's exactly the same take that we had, except like we kind of like you. We were when we were growing up watching him, it was like, oh man, he wins too much. I hate that guy.
Totally. That was me growing up every Monday night. Like, you know, you almost knew they were gonna give it to John Cena because he always won. You know what I mean? And I hated him for it. But then he'd get on that mic and he would just be on fire. You know what I mean? Like on fire with everything he had coming out of him, with all his rhymes and the stuff he would do, and his thugonomics. I love it. You know, I couldn't get enough of it, but at the same time, word life, all that. I just, you know, I love that era. I love that part of it. I was like, but I hated him winning everything. I was like, give it to someone else already.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, cool, man. We'll get it. That was kind of a little segue into it. So the Illegals, man, you guys have the live stream coming up on April 9th. I mean, the pandemic's kind of put a hold on everything, so we haven't got to hear from you guys for a long time. It seems like, I know it's only been a year, but God, for us, it feels like it's been forever. And I'm sure for you guys, it's felt like forever too. So walk us through, man, what's going on with the live stream?
All right. Oh, I want to talk about the pandemic real quick and what we've been doing during the pandemic real fast leading up to
Sure.
the live stream. So I would say this whole last year from March the 14th of 2020, which was our last show, and the same weekend the world shut down was that weekend, the 13th through the 15th, Friday through Sunday. We had a gig in Mexico City on that Saturday, the 14th. So it was just a kind of a really eerie situation. We all knew that we were heading into a new world, but nobody knew yet what we were heading into. So from that moment to March the 14th, 2021, it was a full year, like about 6 days ago, we have been definitely busy sending demos, writing music. You know, we're definitely in illegal mode still. You know, we're definitely, I know I've been demoing so much, you know, new music. For the Illegals. I know Steve has, and I know Derek has, and Philip, you know, he's writing too. He's writing riffs on his downtime as well. So we've all definitely been sending each other stuff, demoing ideas. I've got, you know, a few songs already ready to go once we get back into that jam room, you know, in a few days and talk it out and figure out what we want to do and for our game plan. So that's what we've been up to for the last year. So, you know, it's definitely still been a steady year for us. You know, we, you know, obviously no live shows, but we're writing and we're focusing on a new album. And so it's going to be killer. And then Philip obviously had some live streams. He had the Down live stream, very successful,
Great.
super
So
awesome. Yeah, so good. So many good songs. And then he did the In Minor one. And if you're a fan of that, amazing, you know, real peaceful, dark, atmospheric music. And it was stellar performance.
That
Phenomenal.
live stream, that was such a good live stream. The vibe and the feel of that thing was so awesome.
Album. That
cool.
album is so good.
It totally is. And even for me, I was never really a huge part of it, but to be there while they were doing it, you know, to see it take shape, even all the way to the, you know, when we were in Spain, I believe, and someone gave Phil the album cover for the first time, I was like, you know, looking over, like trying to see what they were, you know, doing, checking out, you know, and then, you know, they were just gearing up for In Minor. So that's, you know, that stream and band is definitely a whole, you know, a whole beast of its own. You know what I mean? Definitely real chill. You know, I love the atmosphere. Like you said, it's
very different,
cool vibe.
very different.
And then
I'll tell you a little story too about In Minor. Philip, we saw Super Joint in Dayton, Ohio one night, and after the show, Jimmy wanted me to. I came on the bus to hang out with Jim, and Jim told Phil. He said, "Hey, play him some of the new stuff." So we went in the back, and Phil got out his laptop. You know how he has his laptop, and
always, ready to go.
He said, "Do you want to listen to heavy or soft?" And I said, "Well, we just listened to heavy. Let's do some soft." And Kate was like, "That's a good choice." And he played all the In Minor stuff for me, and was asking my opinion. And I felt honored to be asked the opinion on it, but to sit there and I was blown away by what he was doing with that stuff.
That's great. I'm glad he played some for you. And that's pretty much Philip. I remember him, you know, hearing him say that to people. Do you want to hear some heavy or you want to hear some soft?
Yeah.
You know, and when he had the heavy, he had the new Illegals record, and or like the Nganga project that, you know, has never been released. He had that, you know, going. And that's a trippy record. You know, if you ever get to hear those songs, it's pretty trippy, man. It's just brutal and just, it's out there. It's awesome. I really, really like it. Hopefully one day the Illegals could perform an Nganga song, you know, live. It would be great. And then the soft stuff was the In Minor. But real quick, I went back to the streams real fast. So he had the In Minor stream. Like I said, it was amazing. Then he moved on to the brand new Scour release of the black, the gray, and the red. So the black one, and which came out in late October, I believe. And then they had the stream, and that did really good. You know, it was them right there in our jam room, you know, dishing out all the black metal, and you know, and that is mainly I don't want to say just Derek's project, but that's a lot of Derek just, you know, writing all his black metal side. You know, just a lot of that stuff is just Derek writing, Derek and John Jarvis writing a lot of the black metal stuff that they're really into, and it's sick. It's super sick.
Those
man.
records are great. They're
I
so
love that first
brutal,
one.
man. They're so brutal.
Brutal, man. Just unrelenting. You know what I mean? Brutal.
That
I love
the song, the tear gas song, when it goes into that breakdown. Oh,
yeah, it's so
yeah.
sick. And then now, I kind of during that I was starting to hear little rumbles of a possible Illegals live stream. Like he was gonna do the bands. We had done a bunch of Illegals, so it was kind of him taking a little little break and focusing on some other projects, which is awesome for Philip. Kind of showcasing everything that he's got going on. And even for the Illegals, we could do this Pantera live stream, which I'm super stoked. But it's cool because we can also do the Illegals, and that's like a whole different beast of a band. You know what I mean? Which I hope we can do one down the road where it's just us playing our music too. Because people want to hear those songs also.
Yeah,
so
man.
it'd be cool to do that. But this live stream, April the 9th, coming up like in 3 weeks, we're doing a full Pantera set. Now, I'm going to get into this real quick from my point of view on this. I'm a young Texas dude. I've said this before in a few interviews, how Pantera growing up for me, they were all over my walls. That was the band that was on my walls. I grew up Van Halen and Pantera. I was into the guitars, and Dime and Eddie, were just all over my walls. But Pantera being there, I remember going to see them open for Black Sabbath, and I was up in the nosebleeds, just watching them way down there, and they were ripping in concert, and I was like 19, 18 years old, thinking, man, I would love to be on that stage one day, jamming out, just jamming in general, So fast forward to April the 9th, we're doing a full Pantera set, man, and and to me, I think it's super important because I tell all my friends, the world is going to be watching, and I'm talking about the entire world, from Australia's King Parrot fans, all the way to South America, to Asia, to Europe, to America, to probably fans in Africa who know about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You metalheads based in Africa are going to be like, let's check this out. They grew up on these songs, and so honestly, I personally feel that we got to go out and we got to lay it down, and we got to bring that thunder and bring it as best as we can. Now, I also tell everybody, we're not Pantera. You're not gonna see Pantera. You're gonna see the Illegals paying tribute as best as we can to Dimebag and to Vinny and the entire legacy of that band, and most importantly, you get to hear the voice of those songs. Yep. And lately, as I've been gearing up for this, I've been listening to a lot of Pantera, and I sit there, smoke some dope, smoke some weed, and I'll put these songs on, and I listen to each and every individual instrument, as I can. And then I listen to that voice of Phillips, and it still trips me out that I get to go play music in general with that voice, because when I get in that jam room, you hear that voice, it's still there.
Yeah.
So for that live stream, I know Philip is going to be doing his absolute best to try and hit those classic notes that, as best as he can, with us guys in the Illegals, trying to play those songs as best as we can. And I tell everybody, I'm not Dimebag. There'll never be anybody like Dimebag. Those hands were those hands. Right. We're gonna go up, we're gonna rip those tunes, and we're gonna have a lot of fun. More than anything, I tell everybody, what we're trying to do is bring back that vibe. Let's smile. Let's have some fun. Let's party. Let's party, man. And fucking, it doesn't have to be so, so absolute serious, and you're not going to see fire, and you're going to hear some tunes, you're going to hear the vocals, and you're going to bang your head and mosh with your best friends in the living room and sing along, you know, to these songs. And that's what we do for each and every show. And I can't stress that enough. On my end, I most importantly want to let everyone know that, you know, besides playing these songs to the T that I can, let's laugh and have fun, man. Let's enjoy this time together, because this is what we have together. So that's what Pantera did for me. They made me smile. They made me laugh. They were having fun, you know, while they were up there. So that's what we're trying to bring back with the Illegals, and just let's have some fun and let's jam some metal. You know what I mean?
Hell yeah, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and that's the most honest truth. So on April the 9th, we have a live stream, and we're going to be playing some special songs, and we have a bunch to choose from. So I can't wait to be like, all right, this is the list. This is what we're going to do. Let's fucking run it. You know, and let's do it. Let's run it and run it. So we're stoked.
Now,
Today,
Mike, I was lucky enough to see Pantera a few times. I've seen the Illegals a few times. You guys fucking burn it up. You bring this energy that it's unreal on stage. And you talked about obviously no one can replace Dime. He had that grip. It was all his own. He was a legend. But what does it mean to you to step into those shoes and play those songs with Phil on the vocals? What you said the posters were on your walls. Talk about, like, what does it mean to you to just try and play those songs and rip it up?
No one's ever asked me that. I'm so glad I get to say this side of the story. You know, no one ever really gets to hear my side of that when you ask me that. So what does it mean to me? Let me really think about this one for a quick second. It means everything. Everything. You know, Dimebag left such an imprint on metal in general, just the sound of metal. When you hear his tone or his song, you know absolutely that's Dimebag Darrell. You know what I mean? Yep. So this means everything to Mike DeLeon, because it could be anybody. It could be anybody to do this with Philip. He can get anybody he wants. So even, you know, for me to have to go and do this, it means everything. And more than anything, I just want Dime to be looking down, and I want him to be like, he's doing it. He's doing it, man. Yeah. He's doing it. You know, he's living on the legacy. He's living it on. He has that soul, and I'm just trying to bring back that soul, you know. And like I said, just it means the world to me that I am the guy that gets to do this, you know. And I want to say thank you for you know, to the metal gods for giving me the opportunity. You know, I'm just a dude from Texas just trying to play some music. So to be able to be doing this, to be able to do this Dimebag spot with Philip is an absolute honor, and it means the absolute world to me. And I just, like I said, want to have fun and play the best I can. That's all I can do. That's all I can honestly do, man. Have fun.
You're killing it, man. You're killing it.
Yeah, you're definitely killing it, man.
I appreciate, like I said, thank you guys. It means the world, and I appreciate it. Like I said, that's all I'm trying to do. I'm trying to go up and kill it, have fun, and bring back that vibe, man. That soul that Dime was bringing to the table. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'll tell you a little story, Mike. The first time that we saw you playing with the Illegals live, your set had just started.
Was it Louisville, Sneed?
It was in Louisville, and Kate came out she saw us standing there watching, and Kate came out and she said, "Keep an eye on Mike. Watch Mike play. He's really, really good."
Yeah. Really?
So Kate,
I did not know that.
Yep. Kate came out and when she saw us watching, she said, "Keep an eye on Mike. He's really good."
Yeah.
That's awesome. That makes me really happy to know that she said that.
Yeah.
You know, Kate has been, you know, we call her the momager because she's real close. She's real close to all of us. But when I first came into the Illegals, and before I was in the Illegals, I was in another band, and I remember running into her a few times, and we didn't know each other whatsoever. But I remember her just always being so genuinely nice,
Yeah.
just so nice and just outgoing and just easy to talk to. And ever since I, you know, came into the fold, it's been like we've always had such a great relationship. I'll say communication and relationship. Our relationship has always been real close. I can talk to her about anything, you know, and she's there for any of us in the band. So that's really cool that she said that. I did not know that. So that's rad. And I honestly think when you were on the bus that night, Chad, I hadn't even met you yet, but I just knew you from Facebook or online, us talking. And I was like, you're Chad, right? I was like, I know you, man. Yeah. You were there kicking it with us on the bus and hanging out.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah,
I remember.
It's always a fun time, man. When you guys come through town, it's well, I mean, we'll travel anywhere to see you guys. We've traveled, I mean, up to, what, 8 hours to 6 hours to see you guys.
Oh yeah,
so,
we've been to Cleveland, Greensboro, Louisville, Orlando, Florida. I mean, we've seen
Philip all over the place. That's great. That's cool. And I'm glad you guys, you know, get to say hi and always get to come up and talk, because it's just like a one big family, especially when we're on tour. You know, we get to see all our family from all over the, you know, US and around the world. You know, it's all our, you know, Philip has friends everywhere. So, and we all do. So it's just really cool for us, you know, to get on the road and see all the extended family. It's a good time. We get to enjoy it.
Yeah, it blew. I saw you guys. So quick story. Chad said that he had got to see Pantera live. I never got to see Pantera live. So when you guys were playing on the Slayer tour, I saw you guys in Cincinnati, and to see those songs in an arena setting was, I mean, that was kind of surreal to me to hear Philip singing those in an arena setting. And then the next night, I brought my brother and we drove to Detroit at Harpo's where you guys played. And
that was an awesome show. That was legendary show right there. That was my first time at Harpo's as well. I've never been to Detroit, but that was a big night. That was a very special show.
Yeah, it was an awesome night, and it kind of blew my brother's mind because I saw Christian said, you know, let's go hang out. And then he had never had an experience where he got to hang out with you guys. And he always talks about you because it was me, you, him, and Christian that sat on the bus and talked that night. And he always talks about how much fun he had sitting there talking. And he always asks me if I talk to you. So,
oh, that's great, man. Tell him I said hello. Send some Texas love. Tell him I said what's up. For sure.
And the reason I brought that up is because I wanted to see if you could tell a story that you told me that night. Now, you had told me that night about an incident that happened in, I believe it was a couple of nights before, but there was an incident where you were in a vehicle.
Oh man, you're talking about the time that I got flown from a car.
Yep.
Yes, that's the only vehicle incident that I definitely, can remember of recently. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So we were in Salem, Virginia. I'll never forget. And every night, every day of tour before meet and greet and everything, like early in the day, Steve, our other guitar player, brought this drone, and I brought my GoPro. And we would just go in front of the venue and just walk around and just shoot footage. So we would have footage of the tour, the big Slayer tour. And this was like a third day of tours, just another normal day for us. And we were just we were just outside filming. And this dude rolls up in a Hummer. And I don't know why or what. I don't remember too much, but we started talking to the guy, and he says, "Hey, y'all want to go for a ride in, our Hummer?" He starts telling us a story about he saw Pantera and Skid Row, or he starts rambling. And next thing you know, we get in the car, and he's like, "I'll give you guys a ride from the front of the venue, the back of the." We had to go all the way around to get there, and around the venue to get there. So we get in, and and we all start loading in. It's us four dudes, me, Joey, Blue, and Steve. And he tells me as I sit in the front passenger side, make sure you slam your door. There's there's no latch or or just make sure you slam your door. There was no seatbelts, that's for sure. There was no seatbelts in this Army Hummer that we were in.
Oh no.
So we start cruising, and I'm filming the whole time on my GoPro. Just as I go, I'm just filming, the ride through this Hummer, and he starts going off-roading onto like curbs and concrete, and out of nowhere does like a quick U-ey, and the door opens, and I fucking flung from that car, and I had my GoPro filming the whole time, and it was just rolling, and I landed, and I was just like, if you watch the footage, it's on my Facebook, you can watch the footage, and I'm just like, the first thing I say was, I just fell out of a car. I just fell out of a car is what I said.
Right.
And it
Wow.
was just, it was crazy. It was crazy. Like, I remember just being like, just almost in shock, like, almost like in shock mode. And my shoe fell off. I was cut, bruised, bleeding, nothing major broken. And it took about 3 minutes for us to kind of get our shit together. And we went from the parking lot. I had to walk all the way back to our tour bus, and it was a long walk, and me and Blue walked. And I remember I just was like stumbling all the way there. And I think we ran into Kate, and she was just like jaw drops, like, what is going on? And I'm just like, I fell out of a car, and it's just like, and then I get on the tour bus, and Steve's already on the bus. And as soon as I open the door, like, I'm definitely not good. I fell out of a car. I was not in good shape. I'm broken, like definitely like beaten and battered a little bit, just like busted up. And Philip just looks at me, comes from the back of the bus. Steve just told him what happened. He comes, and it was just like our whole world got turned upside down. They had to bring in a paramedic. They had to do this and stitch me, like just like patch me up. And I was screaming on the bus. I won't even lie. I was screaming when they were like putting all sorts of stuff on all the cuts. It sucked, man. And 30 minutes later, we're signing meet and greets, and I'm just like there holding my arm, and just like, it was a terrible situation. And 3 hours later, we were opening for Slayer. So like,
yeah.
it was super metal. But I remember Steve was like, at the end of the night, he was like, bruh, who gets flown out of a car and gets to open for Slayer 3 hours later? And I was like, bro, it was just it we never talked about it. We never went online and posted about it. We kind of just kept, because it was the beginning of the tour, and it would have just Mike from the Illegals falls out of car, Slayer's names, we were just trying to be cool about it. I remember we were sound checking, and I was all bandaged up, and Tom Araya came walking up with his wife Sandra, and he's like, what happened to you? And I told him the whole story. As I'm standing there, and he just looks at me, and he's like, be careful. I was like, I know, but it was it was a wild day, and it was something that I'll never forget, and I'll definitely never get a stranger's Hummer again and go for a ride, man. It was just a crazy situation, man. But we lived to tell the tale, and we opened for Slayer, and then it was something that everybody on tour was found out about it, but it was just just a road rash, just some road rash.
Dude, as a lifelong heavy metal fan, what was it like opening for Slayer?
Dude, opening for Slayer, a dream come true, a metalhead's dream come true. Slayer set the foundation. They were the ones letting Rain and Blood try doing this. You know what I mean? Try writing an album like this. Of course, you had Rust in Peace. Of course, you had Cowboys from Hell and Vulgar. But Slayer was a whole nother. They were Slayer. You know what I mean? Growing up in Pantera and Slayer were always like, they always went together. They were hand in hand all the time. If you jammed Pantera, you jammed Slayer, and that's just that's how it went. So so to be on tour doing the Pantera set for one thing, and then opening for Slayer every night, it was just, I'm telling you, just a metalhead's dream come true, man.
On their farewell tour, on their
and this was
final.
This is it, final tour. This was the one, so even more so of a metal history moment. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because they're done, man. You know, it seems like they're done. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know what the chances are. I honestly don't, if they'll ever play again. Maybe they will.
They
Maybe
seem
they
like
won't.
one of those bands. Kerry King seems like one of those dudes. It's like when he says it's done, it's done. They seem, you know, they're not like Kiss. Kiss comes back. They
Yeah,
say it's over and they come back. But Slayer seems like they're going to stick to their guns.
yeah, and rightfully so. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's
Yeah.
Slayer. You got to respect Slayer, whether you like it or not. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? They punched
Yeah.
you in the face. You
Yeah.
got to respect that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
gotta
Absolutely,
respect that.
man.
You know, and I actually talk to Carrie often. Me and Carrie will text each other, you know, pretty often, and we became really, really good close friends. You know, big brother. Same thing with Gary. Gary was, you know, huge sweetheart of a man. You know, just
Gary
super
Holt.
cool shredder. Yeah, Gary just
Dude,
shredder
Exodus, man.
dudes. And
Exodus. Even before he joined
oh, dude,
so
all
good.
the years of Exodus, just
Yep.
Thrashamania, you know what I mean? So, and Tom, I talk to Tom still too. I'll still keep in touch with Tom. He's actually a Texas guy. He lives about, you know, a few hours away or so,
Oh, okay.
out in the middle of nowhere here in Texas. So
Yeah.
he just lays low and takes, you know, takes care of his land and his animals and stuff. So I still keep in touch with Tom, and you know, just try to touch base. And, you know, we all became real good friends on that run, and it was just really, it was really, really cool. And you know, just touring with Slayer, you know, again, it was just a metalhead's dream come true. And to be there
Yeah.
for the final night, the final tour, was just epic, you know, epically huge. It was so many celebrities there behind the scenes watching it. It was just crazy to see everybody, but
I bet.
it was a monumental night. Kirk Hammett was hanging out in the rooms with us. It was like, whoa, Kirk Hammett's walking
That's
around.
cool.
It was wild. It was wild, man.
You had Post Malone and Jason Momoa jammed with you.
It was crazy. Yeah,
Wild, man.
yeah. Jason came into our room, and the look on his face, he was like a kid in a candy store, and our faces were the same. We were looking at him like this big dude. He was just a gigantic Pantera fan. So meeting Philip was definitely was pretty huge.
That's cool. I gotta know before we get off of here. I gotta know. We asked you who your guys were in pro wrestling when you were a fan. I gotta know, as a young metalhead, when you're growing up, what are those landmark bands that really just punched you in the face and locked you in on heavy metal and made you know that this was something you had to do with your life?
Our bands that left that impact. Philip always laughs at me at this one, but the first band that really made an impact on me was Poison. 80s glam rock band Poison.
CC
He laughs
DeVille,
at me
dude.
about it.
CC DeVille.
CC was the man. I love CC, dude. I hope one day, fingers crossed, I get to meet CC and just shake the man's hands, because I'm a gigantic fan of CC. He was the number one guitar player from day one. Before anyone else, I was always a Poison fan, first and foremost. And then from there, it was Aerosmith, Carlos Santana, Van Halen. Then we started getting into like Pantera, Slayer, Metallica. And then for me, it got even heavier in bands like Cannibal Corpse, Morbid Angel, Deicide. Were really, those bands were really, you know, Morbid Angel and Trey Azagoth, he was replicating Eddie Van Halen stuff, but doing it in death metal, you know. So, you know, guys like him were just big, you know, influences. So it's just a wider range of bands. But I mean, anywhere from Santana to Cannibal Corpse, man, these were just bands that were just like, I was just like hooked, you know. I was like, man, I can listen to this and just groove off of this right here. So definitely Pantera was all over my walls, you know, and Van Halen and Aerosmith, going to see Aerosmith really young as a kid and just being like rocking out with my dad, and, you know, just bands like that were just really leaving those imprints on me, you know, tons of them. But those were like those were the ones that I could definitely say were just wanting me to pick up a guitar and jam some music, man.
Hell yeah, man.
Well, man, before we let you go, this is our little, the way we end our interviews. It's our shoot sixer, and it's 6 questions that's rapid fire. You can kind of go quick with them. And so we'll start, man. When you're stoned, what's your go-to stoner movie?
Go-to stoner movie? Let's go with Half Baked or Detroit Rock City.
Detroit Rock City,
dude.
man.
I love that movie.
So good. So underrated.
Totally underrated.
Number 2, the Montreal Screwjob with Vince, Bret Hart, and Shawn Michaels. Whose side are you taking, Bret Hart or Vince McMahon?
All the way Bret Hart.
Hell yeah.
All the way Bret Hart, yeah.
If you wanted to introduce someone to heavy metal, what are the 3 quintessential albums you would have them listen to?
Master of Puppets, A Vulgar Display of Power. Let's go with Rain and Blood.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. All right, number 4, 3 wrestlers to hang out on the tour bus with you. What 3 wrestlers do you want to hang out on the tour bus?
Oh, let's mix it up here. 3 wrestlers of any era. Let's mix it up. Let's do
Dead or alive.
Okay, dead or alive. Okay, Eddie Guerrero.
Hell yeah.
Eddie Guerrero. Let's see. Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yes.
And then let's have some fun and let's mix it up and let's do the one and only, rest in peace, Kurt Hennig. Let's bring Mr. Perfect. Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, let's mix it up and have some fun. I bet you he'd be a fun conversation. You know what I mean?
That's a hell of a group right there, man.
Yeah, let's mix it up. That'd be fun.
Yeah, man. Okay, so and this is going to be a really tough one for you. I know. Beavis or Butthead?
Butthead, easy.
Oh, there you go.
Easy, yeah. I have them both tattooed on my leg. I have one on each leg about this big, but Butthead all the way. That's always been my favorite for sure.
Nice. All right.
He's my hero. I always
love it. Number 6, the final question, Mike. I know if you were a pro wrestler, your name would be Metal Mike. What would be Metal Mike's entrance music?
Ooh, that's a good one. Entrance music. Oh man, I never thought of that. Some of the hype up the crowd though. Oh, I'm gonna probably mix it up. Okay, here's one off the wall. Cypress Hill, Insane in the Membrane. Just get the crowd pumping. You know what I mean? Real. Yeah, get the crowd pumping for the entrance. That'd be awesome.
That's awesome.
Weed smoking music all the way.
Yeah, love it,
dude. All right, so this has been so much fun. We could sit and talk to you for hours, but
totally.
But we're gonna let you go, and make sure you guys, I believe it's illegalslive.com that you can go.
Yes,
and get
it is. www.illegalslive.com for sure. Yeah.
And Mike, are you on Instagram or Twitter? Can they find you anywhere, our listeners?
Yeah, you can find me on my Facebook, Mike DeLeon. Hit me up there. And for sure on Instagram. I don't use Twitter. I don't use any of that other stuff. Facebook and Instagram. Follow me, and I'm always posting up, cool, dumb shit, man, and trying to keep it fun, man. So yeah, definitely get a follow. Muchos gracias to both you guys, the Chads, for having me on today. Thanks to all the Tavern Turnbuckle listeners out there. Did I say that right?
Turnbuckle Tavern, baby.
Turnbuckle Tavern. All the fans out there, much love. Big wrestling fan here, lifelong wrestling fan. Keep it up. Keep supporting the underground. And thank y'all, so much for having me, man. I'll see you guys on the road sometime soon, man, for sure. April the 9th, live stream. Check it out. A bunch of old school Pantera tunes, man, coming at you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, definitely. We'll see you guys soon, man.